Today, we're going to be talking about how to build a portfolio in 2025. Um, One of the biggest hurdles to building a portfolio for a lot of people is knowing where to start and how to start. And in this presentation, I'm going to walk you through uh, one of the most simplest ways that I found to identify a viable asset, research that asset, and then start investing in that asset. And it's based around narratives, right? Um, if you want to make your crypto investing be put in essentially easy mode, basing your investments on crypto narratives, emerging crypto narratives, will allow you to essentially put your investing strategy in autopilot, right? So hands off, not necessarily worry free or stress free, but it will definitely reduce the worry around whether or not you made a good decision in investing in particular crypto assets. And the name of the game, or the hardest part of the game, is just getting started. So I do believe following this method will alleviate a lot of those angst or anxiety around getting started. So let's get into it. So today's agenda, we'll have a quick intro. We'll discuss what a crypto narrative is, how to build your portfolio. We'll talk about emerging narratives that I think you should be paying attention to. We'll talk about research and tools to use to help you identify narratives. And of course, we'll wrap this up with a quick summary. So let's get into it. So, quick introduction. When looking to build a solid crypto portfolio, it is important, imperative to pay attention to emerging crypto narratives to ensure you are positioning yourself properly. Being positioned in the right narratives can drive major portfolio growth and helps make crypto investing easier than it would be if you just kind of, went against the grain about it. Just simply imagine an easy button for crypto investing. In this presentation, I'll definitely walk you through what a narrative is, how you can take advantage of them to capture gains in the market. So let's get into it. So, quick definition of what a narrative is. So, in the world of crypto, a narrative is a growing trend or storyline in the crypto space. Storylines help shape the perspectives of the retail market and help guide capital flows into assets that are relevant to that narrative. Once you start seeing capital flows being driven into certain narratives, trends emerge, which allow you to gauge the strength of the trend and identify viable use cases within that narrative. So, how to actually build your portfolio? One, you want to identify the narrative. Identifying the narrative is just the first step before you deploy any capital. You're not deploying any capital at the identification stage. Then you move on to gauging the narrative strength. So before you deploy any capital, you want to gauge the strength of the narrative. And within this gauging part of this method, you're trying to determine whether or not you're too early in that narrative, because that is a such thing. You can find a good investment, a good asset, but you could be too early, right? And you want to gauge that by how much it's talked about, how big has the narrative become, and you can help gauge whether or not you're early enough to deploy capital to maximize your gain potential. And then once you've determined what, being on time or not too early, then you can deploy and manage capital. So once you've conducted research on the narrative, gauge the strength of the narrative, and determine the right time, that's when you deploy capital. Managing the investment is all about staying hip to the latest news and developments within that narrative. And it also will help you gauge potential adding more capital potentially to that asset or that narrative, or assets within that narrative, or gauging when you need to exit, because taking profit is a key part of investing. So, some emerging narratives that I think you guys should be paying attention to. Decentralized data. So, decentralized data acquisition is key to more robust and secure protocols. The more reliable the data, the more advanced use cases can be built in the world of crypto. Then you have artificial intelligence, right? I've highlighted this one because this really spans across multiple sectors. It's not just the digital asset space. It's also the world of stocks, things of that nature. Artificial intelligence is not just a growing trend in the world of stocks. It is also caught the eye or the attention of the crypto space. Leveraging AI in the digital asset space can and will yield use cases not currently found in today's market. I mean, there's so many possibilities that could be opened up when artificial intelligence is leveraged in a decentralized fashion in the digital asset space. And it could also impact other sectors outside of the digital asset space. Then you have DePIN or decentralized physical infrastructure. Um, it's becoming a popular narrative in the crypto space. DePIN offers the sharing, managing, and access to physical resources. Think of it almost like cloud computing, but for other hardware types. Decentralizing the usage, the owning, the managing of those physical assets. Then you have RWAs, which stands for real world assets. And RWAs could be like treasuries, derivative products, infrastructure, and real estate. Those are becoming more and more popular to be transacted on blockchains. Blockchains offer fast, secure, and transparent trading of those assets, as well as the ownership of those assets. So you remove a lot of the middlemen, a lot of the paperwork, administrative overhead, things of that nature. That's becoming a growing interest in the digital asset space. So be sure to pay attention to these narratives in the crypto space. Now, research tools that you can use to help identify narratives, and stay up to date on these narratives. So, researching, you want to identify emerging narratives early, that is key. But you don't want to be too early. You can identify narratives super early, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to deploy capital. And timing when to get into a narrative can help maximize your gains. Like I said, being early is a thing. Then you want to, of course, gauge the trend, gauge the strength of the trend, and then vet these use cases. Not every use case within a narrative is viable. You might find some crap, if you will. And then you, of course, will find those diamonds in the rough. Tools. Always. If you're not utilizing AI like ChatGPT or these other large language models to help you gauge strength of narratives and get additional information and insight, then I don't know what you're doing. You're quite literally putting yourself in hard mode by not utilizing artificial intelligence. Social media. If you watched one of my last videos, I talked about how X is the hub, the home of the crypto conversation. So if you don't have an X account, if you're not utilizing social media, uh, you're not doing it right. Definitely want to utilize social media in the world of crypto to make sure you're hip to the latest news and developments. Then you want to utilize reputable news sources. And I'm not just talking about traditional media or social media. A lot of TikTok influencers across the board, they act as reputable news sources, white papers. They can find these white papers so you don't have to go searching for them. Utilize your resources. This is the day and age of social media or the social media influencers. So be sure to follow reputable sources to ensure you're getting the most relevant and accurate news. And then, of course, get involved in communities. You don't necessarily have to be active in the community, but you definitely want to peek into some of these communities. Utilize Discord, utilize Telegram. Like I said in my last video, Discord and Telegram, there is a pipeline from X to Discord or Telegram. That's where a lot of the meat and potato conversation happens within these communities is in Discord or Telegram groups. So be sure you are tapped into those. And then just a quick summary. Narratives help drive market trends. Identifying emerging trends early can be key in maximizing return on investment. Despite identifying quality narratives early, being too early can be a thing. You don't want to be too early because then you'll be holding that investment longer than what you probably want to. Then you want to gauge the strength of the trend before deploying any capital. Upon deploying capital, ensure that you are hip to all the latest news to help manage the investment with confidence, right? Once you have that confidence, once you've gone through this method, you should have no worries. All you should be doing, you shouldn't even be checking your portfolio like that, really. You should just be staying hip to the latest news and developments, staying in those social media accounts, paying attention to those paying attention to what's going on, the conversations being had in the crypto communities, and you should have nothing to worry about. It's really just a wait and see type situation from there. And you should be confident that you made the right investment, right? So just a quick and easy method that I want to put out there. This has helped me invest more with confidence, and I hope it helps you invest more with confidence. So, with that being said, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.